My name is John Hogan, and I work in the Dublin Institute of Technology, and I suppose over the last 10 years with colleagues Ras Charlie in Trinity College Dublin and Gary Murphy in DCU, we've kind of investigated lobbying regulations globally, and this was long before there was any lobbying law here. It's only just recently come in the last while. And I suppose our research was kind of driven by the government initially, that we did a report for the government on what the trends internationally were in terms of lobbying regulations. And we wanted to kind of, I suppose, see what standards are expected in other places around the world, whether in Europe or North America, and how lobbyists are regulated, how they're controlled, how their behaviour is monitored. And it's not really about interfering, in the relationship between citizens and their representatives or people talking to their politicians. It's just really about, trying to make more transparent what goes on in terms of, moneyed interests, talking to politicians and lobbying them and trying to influence political decisions. And I suppose it goes back to the old idea of kind of shining a light into the black box of policy making. So how are policies made? Who's involved in that process? Who's influencing the process? And the idea that, I suppose in this country being a republic, and the Latin definition of a republic is a public concern. So it's all our concern. These people work for us. If they're making decisions, it's our money they're making decisions with. So, why shouldn't we know? What's the harm in knowing? And if there's something, they want to hold from us, well then, they've got questions to answer. So what our research really does is just kind of compares different jurisdictions around the world, looks at the regulations they have in place for lobbyists, and sets out to score them on an index running from 0 to 100 in terms of which are the most highly regulated, which are medium, which are low regulated. And over the last number of years then we've spoken, particularly with the Irish government, we've been consulting with them as they've developed their lobbying law, which was signed by the President in March. And myself and John were at the event there a little while ago where they launched the register down in Woodkey. Minister Hogan launched it. And we're going to see now, I suppose, over the next 12 to 14 months how the register works here. At the same time we were talking to the Irish government, we were over in Britain talking to the British government and kind of meeting some of their committees which were interested in bringing in a lobbying law in Britain. And it'll just be interesting to see how the Irish and British lobbying laws, how they work out, because they were brought in around the same time, and they seem to be already diverging in terms of what's happened in Britain with their lobbying law. And our objective really is, I suppose, for countries to look at the regulations that we've examined, to see if they can learn from them, to see if they can kind of, learn from what's out there, and basically bring in lobbying regulations that will help their own societies. Because what I suppose worries us is where countries seem to go off on a tangent and think that they can reinvent the wheel without looking at other examples. Like, as one of the countries we've examined a lot was Australia, and Australia has dabbled in lobbying regulations a number of times. They implemented them in the 80s, they got rid of them in the 90s, they tried to bring them back in again in the 90s. They don't seem to have worked out very well, and at the same time they don't seem to have sent fact-finding missions to other countries to see what, America's been dealing with regulating lobbies for the last nearly 150 years. So there's lots of lessons there to be learned. And why you think you can, do it all from scratch when you can bring in experts from other places is questionable, I suppose. But that's what we do.